Aquaba, my friends. Hey, hey. I am Coach Connie. I am queen of the tweens and teens. And this evening, I am actually recording in three different spaces. So you're going to see my head going back and forth a bit, but I think you'll adjust. I'm actually recording here on IG Live for the first time. I'm very excited about that. I am also recording for my YouTube Parentude channel, and this will also be uploaded to our Spotify podcast, Parentude. So my head will go from up and down, but I think that we'll get by. Again, my name is Coach Connie. I am queen of the tweens and teens. I assist Black and Brown parents who are struggling with stress and family discord and support their journey to parental peace. I am very, very excited to be here this evening. This evening, I wanted to take a moment and have a conversation around communication with tweens. I was speaking I was speaking to one of my mentors, and they pointed out to me that many folks tend to run from the tweens and teens age. They feel that it's either very, very stressful age to work with, or they have an it will pass mentality, meaning it is what it is. There's really nothing that you're going to do to impact it, and we'll just see the human being on the other side of their tween and teen years. I tend to take a different approach. While the tween segment of life and the teen segment of life can be stressful, can be frustrating, can be a little hard to understand for both the child and the parent, I also think that it is beautiful. I think that it is the most important time of a young person's life. And I think the possibilities are endless. And if we capitalize on this time period, we could go so much farther in setting up our children for success. So, with that being said, today I wanted to have a quick conversation around communicating with tweens. So, what this is going to be is basically a list of about 7 strategies that you can use in order to ensure that when you are having a conversation with your tween, it is not just a one-way conversation, that two-way communication is being used, and that your tween actually feels that he or she is being heard by their parent. The first thing you want to do, first and foremost, is listen. And it may sound crazy that if we're talking about communication, that listening has to be specifically introduced. However, a lot of times when we say that we're listening, we are listening to respond, meaning we're listening to what the person is saying. And while they are talking, we are formulating what our response is going to be in our heads, right? So it's almost like the person that's communicating becomes background noise because all of our attention is on, let me answer what they are saying. And that means that we are not truly listening. When I say listening, when we're speaking about communicating with our tween, I mean listening to understand as opposed to listening to respond. I mean listening with an open mind to what your tween is saying and avoiding. Notice I didn't say don't do, because I think that there are some behaviors and practices that will take time for you to master as a parent if they are practices that you haven't engaged in before. So I say avoid judgment and criticism. And sis, I know it's hard sometimes not to judge some of the cray cray things that come out of our tweens and teens' mouths. However, please try really hard to avoid listening with judgment and criticism. And if you do feel one of those emotions, because we are human and we listen to things and take things in with an adult ear, where a tween is speaking with a child's brain. So we may automatically hear something and pass judgment on it. If you feel yourself veering off into the land of judgy wudgy and the land of criticism, hold it to yourself. Hold it to yourself. Save that criticism, judgment for your journal. Save it for when you are having a conversation in a safe space with another adult. Please try not to project it back to your tween. Second strategy, respect. Respecting what your tween has to say, not poo-pooing on it, because as a lot of folks like to say, if you don't pay bills, we don't really care what you have to say when it comes to tweens, teens, children in general. Their age on a license or an ID or their ability to pay bills is not the determining factor as to whether what they have to say should be valued. It should be valued because they're saying it. It should be valued because you care about them. They don't have to be a full-fledged adult in order to get respect. Listen to what they have to say and respect how they say they are feeling. Uh, One example of this, I mean, and I know this is a example that we all have contended with, even as ourselves, as individuals. Remember when you had your first crush, when you were so in love with this individual? If someone told you, oh, it'll pass, it's not important, you'll forget about them tomorrow, you'll forget about them next year, stop putting all this energy into feeling this way because it doesn't matter. Would you have paid attention? No, you probably would have been offended because here you are with your heart bleeding over the floor, uh, with every waking thought being consumed by this individual. And here someone is trying to tell you what you're thinking about, what you're obsessing over, what you are feeling isn't important. So respect what it is that your tween has to say. Respect doesn't mean agree. Respect doesn't mean you won't have a rebuttal or feedback. It just means that you are respecting the fact that your tween feels this way. You're seeing them as a human being with feelings and you're respecting them. Third strategy, empathize. When you respond, start with empathy, not answers. In some conversations, it's more important that your tween understands that you care about how they feel or what they think, as opposed to being correct. You know, when we talk about other relationships, let's say we're talking about a romantic relationship, you often hear people say, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Well, the same thing applies when you're talking to your tween, right? In some instances, like if we're talking about safety, there are some black and white, hard stop. This is this ain't happening because it's not safe for you, right? But when we're talking about things that your tween are interested in, emotions that they are having about a situation, an individual, whether it be a friend or a romantic feeling, feelings of frustration about something that has happened in the household. Whenever they're talking about feelings and how they think or how they feel, when when they're speaking about their experience, empathize. You don't have to have the accurate answer. You have to display that you care about what it is that they're saying and how they're feeling. That's most important in building trust and communication with your tween. Give your full attention to your tween. Tweens can definitely pick out when they are having a conversation with their parent and their parent is otherwise mentally engaged. If they are trying to have a conversation with you and you're scrolling through your phone, or your phone rings and you pick it up and you pick it up your phone, it's like, okay, go ahead, I'm listening. But your ear is on the phone, right? Obviously, your attention is being split, divided. So, as often as possible, make sure when you're having conversations with your tween that you are giving them your full attention to demonstrate to them that you are available and that you are interested. Interested. Not just here out of obligation, not just having the conversation with them because you're their parent, but because you are interested in what they are thinking, feeling, and doing. Interest is an emotion that will really take you far in developing trust in your communication with your tweens. Because they go through their whole life hearing people say what they think, feel, and do is childish, immature, and irrelevant. So to have someone actually interested, that's gold. Next strategy, involve your team in the decisions about their consequences. It doesn't mean that you allow them to choose their consequence. Like, I'm not saying let your tween have an adventure day, sis. I'm not saying, okay, do you want to go to Disneyland or do you want to be on punishment without your phone for a day? Right? No, I'm not saying I'm not saying to give them the total control of a consequence. What I am saying is have communication around the consequence that draws them in, right? So when you're talking about rules and boundaries and consequences, have a conversation with them. Like, okay, you're tweens, you're 12 years old. You have homework, you have responsibilities, and you also have shows that you like to watch on television. My boundary and my consequence, my boundary may be you get to watch 30 minutes of television when you get home. You do all your homework. If there's time left, and if your homework is done to standard, then maybe you can watch a second half an hour before you shower and get ready for bed, right? Having a conversation with them, how does that feel? Does that feel like it's fair? Do you understand why I am putting the boundary on your TV viewing time? If they say no, explain it. Everything doesn't have to be a power struggle, right? It's not a big deal. If they, I don't understand. I want to watch my television. I don't understand why you are making me have limited TV time. Explain. They still may not agree with it, but that's okay. You've respected the fact that they are the ones that have to experience the boundary. You've explained why the boundary is essential. And now they have to live with it. They've been respected, they've been listened to, they've been heard. But a boundary is put in place for a reason. So sis, it's okay. This conversation about communication is not to say that your tween will never be disappointed in you. Your tween will never be frustrated with you. Your tween will never be angry with you. We're not promising those results, right? Because sometimes as parents, we have boundaries that we have to set, and we know why we have to set them. You respect them enough to explain. However, you don't not set the boundary out of not wanting them to be upset with you. Oh, they're going to be upset with you. Your children are going to be upset with you. And when they're upset for the right reasons, they'll get over it. And you help them by communicating with them. It's when they're in the dark, when they feel like they don't have a voice, where they feel like they're not being considered, even if the boundary is for their benefit, they still may feel like they're not being considered. And when they feel that way, that's when communication breaks down. This conversation is about how to scaffold communication, how to build it up, how to swell that trust level, right? This helps to give your tween responsibility and accountability, right? So, those are two important words, and we're going to talk about those words in a later episode. Ask for their feedback. Doesn't mean their feedback is going to be positive, and this is not something that you have to do all the time. But in the essence of building trust and a strong communication bond with your tween, it doesn't hurt to say, how does that feel? Does that make you feel as if you're being supported by me, or does it make you feel like you're being punished by me? Right? You can ask the question and you can have dialogue around it, or you could choose not to have dialogue around it. But asking how they feel in the moment is another sign that you care about them as human beings, as individuals. Because when we're having a conversation with someone, we care how they feel. Just two more. Try, sis, try very hard. And I know that our little darlings make it hard for us sometimes. But sis, really try to stay calm. Stay calm. And this is coming from a very animated person. In parenthood, in my livelihood, in my purpose walk, I am very animated, right? You would never guess that I was the shy duckling in the 60s and 70s, but I'm very animated. Try to remain calm. Try to remain calm. This can help the conversation flow better because the focus is on the conversation and not on the emotions stirred up by the conversation. And this helps the conversation and the communication to focus on the child's behavior, on the tween's behavior, and not the tween themselves. And sometimes when you are communicating with your tween and you're focused on the behavior, the tween can understand better, right? It's like when you make the statement, if you were speaking, for example, about, okay, the old statement that the old timers, the aunties, the grandmoms, the elders used to say, hate the sin but love the sinner, right? I'm sure you've heard that statement before if you've been around the block a time or two, right? Hate the sin but love the sinner, right? Same concept applies when we're talking about our tween, right? Our tweens between the ages of 9 and 12 and a half are going to do some crazy bananas ish. We know this, sis. We know it. We know it. There is no escaping it. However, we still love our tween. We don't hate our tween because they make mistakes. We don't hate our tween because they get on our nerves. We don't hate our tween because they did something that they felt was the right way to go and they were wrong as two left feet, right? We still love them. And so, in having communication with them, we can demonstrate that we still love you, even when we have to redirect you, even when we have to reprimand you, even when we have to discipline you. It is done out of love, right? So, stay calm and focus on the behavior as opposed to focusing on the tween, right? And finally, help them think it through, right? Thinking it through is a really challenging thing to do, especially when you are emotionally upset, when you feel like you're under pressure, when you feel like you're not being heard, right? When you are personally frustrated and someone says something to you and you have to process it to respond in an appropriate way, that's hard for adults to do. Remember, we're talking about tweens. We're not even talking about teens. We're talking about tweens. And the tween brain is even less developed than the teen brain, which is very much less developed than the adult brain. So you are two steps removed in brain development. Tweens kind of have the brain of, I want to say a zygote, but we know it's not that bad. But yeah, emotions all over the place, hormones all over the place, brain cells all over the place. They're like squirrels. So we have to help them think it through. That doesn't mean think for them. That doesn't mean give them the answer. It means communicating and asking questions and providing a give and take so that they can feel as if their point of view and their emotions and their thoughts are being respected. They feel like a partner in this communication. And so it will open them up more. It will open them up, and you will be able to have an authentic conversation that is solutions driven as opposed to having communication that is all about blame, 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 which really never gets you anywhere. So, with that being said, I think we probably went a little longer than I thought, but it was so important for me to share all of the strategies that I brought to the table around communication with tweens. Yes, tweens and teens, yes, that age group or those age groups are very challenging at times, but it doesn't mean that we can't rise to the occasion and support them as they shift from stage to stage. It's our responsibility to do so, and I am here, parents, mamas, to help you do that. If you are in need of a thought partner, someone who can support you in navigating these turbulent waters of tweendom and teendom, DM shift, SHIFT. Just DM that word. Direct message me, I am me, inbox me, whichever platform you are listening to this on. Send me the word shift, and I will reach right back out to you, sis, because it takes a village, and I am here to be a part of yours. Take care. Have a great, great day, and I will see you on the flip side.